Good morning. This morning we are bringing you exclusive access inside a Sharia court in Birmingham. Officially called Sharia councils, their use in the UK to settle disputes using Islamic religious law has been criticised for discriminating against women. It's rare to be allowed inside a council. This is the story of one woman who we're calling Yasmeenah, who went to the court to divorce her husband.
When we got married, I was 15, and it was arranged marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was in Afghanistan?
In Iran actually.
In Iran?
Yeah, Iran, because we moved to Iran because of Taliban that time.
Okay.
It started with arguments every day,
Straight after the marriage?
even before marriage.
Even before marriage?
Yeah, he was different person, with me. He was always angry and he wanted everything in his way.
In the life, ups and down comes. Argument, happiness, it comes in marital life. But what was the turning point that you decided to be separate?
It was violence.
Violence.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
Because you have...
physical assault?
Yeah,
Okay.
physical, emotional, and
Are you feel secure, unsecure that he can hurt you or he can...
something here makes me afraid of him and scared of him. If I see him, I suddenly, all my body starts shaking and I can't change it. Unfortunately, 4 years I tried and I worked hard in this country alone with 4 children. So still I couldn't accept him.
Because he loves you also very much.
Yeah, but this is not enough. Doesn't have any value, unfortunately.
It is not possible to forget all the things and restart.
Because I have no feeling. I don't even want to remember.
I mean, arguments happen in every family. Every relation there's arguments.
But
respect is very important. And, maybe I shout at my wife, in the evening I go and I take a present with me. And, you forget. But having this continuously going on and having this kind of feeling that you're suppressed is not allowed. In the previous meeting which we had with your husband, he was insisting that I would do anything. He's saying that I love my wife as well, and I've always loved her, and my children, I love them as well. Our first objective here is to try and...
focus on family.
Exactly. So that's why Sheikh Bukhari is asking you as well that...
But family needs a happy mother.
Yeah. That's a definite.
If I am not happy, if emotionally I am damaged, because what I think, he damaged me and now he decided to be a good person. Well, what about me here in this situation?
What we'll do is we'll just discuss now, if for 5 minutes, if you could take a seat outside,
Sure.
and then we'll call you back. Shukran for your time.
The strongest thing she has said, that is, that he has a feeling of being unsecure with him. It seems it is an emotional, insecure, and also physical also. This is the big thing what she has said.
Shall take a seat. We've unanimously decided, looking at all the circumstances and all that you've gone through, that we've all unanimously decided that your marriage has been nullified. We are very sad to hear. We are very sad to hear all the hardships you've gone through, and we feel that no woman should be going through such, hardship. And for the future, we wish you all the best. And if there's any help you require, the masjid is always free, and you could always come and you could put your concerns forward. Inshallah, we are more than happy to help you.
Yasmeenah's story. And if you want to watch and share the full film, you can find it on our programme page, bbc.co.uk/Victoria. Sharia is Islam's legal system, and there are around 30 Sharia courts in the UK. Officially called Sharia councils, they mainly operate inside mosques. And the majority of cases that they preside over involve women wanting to end their Islamic marriage. They're not recognised by the UK system. They have no official legal powers. And a review into them is currently underway. Let's talk about this now with Baroness Cox, who is a crossbench peer who's campaigned against these councils for years. Khola Hasan, who is one of the religious scholars at the Leighton Sharia Council, and Rani Bilkhu, who runs a women's rights organisation and is planning to deliver training to Sharia councils to try and improve their standards. Welcome, all of you. Baroness Cox, when you heard when you heard one of the scholars say to Yasmeenah, "Is it not possible to forget all the things he's done to you?" What did you think?
Well, I have two fundamental worries. The first is that we have in Sharia law a system inherently discriminating against women. In Britain, we're meant to be promoting gender equality. In Sharia law, the man can just divorce his wife by saying, "I divorce you 3 times." The lady has to go through all these kind of procedures, has to pay. She often doesn't have the money. That is inherent gender discrimination, as is the polygamy. The man can have 4 wives, the lady 1, and we don't allow bigamy in this country. There's also endorsement of physical violence under chastisement. There's a lot going on which is very worrying in a country where we're meant to be having gender equality. And the other very briefly concern that I have is it's a kind of parallel quasi-legal system. In this country, we celebrated Magna Carta last year, 800 years. We're now going back to a parallel legal system, which puts us pre-Magna Carta. So my 2 main concerns: women suffer from inherent gender discrimination, and we have a parallel quasi-legal system.
Khola Hasan, women should be able to leave their husbands whenever they want and without seeking permission, surely?
Oh yes, of course.
So why do we need Sharia councils?
Well, if you live in Britain, you would have to go to civil court. A woman can't divorce her husband by sitting at home and saying, "I divorce my husband," and walking
so
away.
why not go to the civil court?
Because we are dealing with religious marriages, not civil marriages. Where, you know, almost every Muslim in this country will have 2 marriage ceremonies. They will have a religious marriage and they will have a civil marriage. A lot won't have the civil marriage, but they will always certainly have a religious marriage because they want to be married in the sight of God. So when they get divorced, when the marriage is breaking up, they need that religious divorce as well. And just as they would go to civil court to get a civil divorce,
why do they need that religious divorce as well?
Because there is that desire, isn't it, within the human being who comes from a religious faith practice, who lives by a religion and fears God. And when they got married, they had a religious marriage.
Sure. But we don't need it in Britain, do we? That woman could just say, "I'm divorcing you."
Well, no, she couldn't just say, "I'm divorcing you." She'd have to go to civil court to get a civil divorce, and that would take a few years as well.
Sure.
And that would time.
So that's enough?
Well, women would like that religion. No, it's not just women, by the way. It's men as well.
Sure,
I think we have to realise
the civil court process, British legal system, is enough.
It could be, but if people are choosing to live by a faith and saying that when it comes to marriage, which is the central part of our lives, we would like a religious divorce to make us feel that closure in the sight of God.
Baroness Cox, do you accept that actually these councils only work because of the consent of the women?
Yes, of course, I accept there must be religious freedom, and if women really believe this and they want an Islamic divorce so they can remarry in Islamic terms, that's fine. But why does a man just get it by saying, "I divorced you 3 times?
Well, that's not true as well.
Well, it is true. It's very true.
Please listen. There has been so much evolving within the Islamic tradition throughout the Islamic world, and nowhere do any legal systems in the Islamic world allow a man to just say, "I divorce you," and end the marriage.
Okay. But some of
All
these
over
councils,
the world, they have to go to court.
Some of these councils do tell women to go back to husbands who are abusing them.
If they do,
then
they should stop. They should
Of course they should stop, but they're doing it.
Well, they need to be stopped then.
How? There is no regulatory system. How are they to be stopped?
That's the issue. We do need a regulatory system. And so far, you know, the Muslim community has been trying itself. Sadly, it has failed. And I actually welcome the government's review, because I think if somebody was to get involved and create a regulatory system, that would really help the issue.
That would also legitimise the councils, which presumably you wouldn't be happy with, Baroness Cox.
No, I believe in religious freedom, but I'm deeply concerned women themselves are unhappy. Many Muslim women come to me and they do disagree with you. They do say the man just does divorce them by saying, "I divorced you 3 times." That does happen.
Which is why we've introduced a system to stop that.
But it's not working at the moment. These women are really suffering, and my private member's bill is trying to help these women who are really suffering and to support the measures to try and help them out of their terrible predicament. And it does allow religious sanctification of religious punishment, chastisement.
That's
and a lot
really
of the women,
unfair.
No, it
That
is
is
true.
so unfair.
A lot of the women are
Throughout
really
the
suffering
world.
domestic violence.
I know they are. The vast majority of my clients who come to me are suffering domestic violence,
Yes,
and that is such a legitimate reason for getting a divorce. And we will facilitate that as quickly as possible to get them out of those abusive marriages. We're actually helping women whose men are saying, "Well, no, I can do what I like to you," and we're turning around and saying, No, you can't.
I've got some questions from Facebook Live. We're streaming our conversation on Facebook right now. Rob says, Sharia should be illegal under UK law. There should be one law for everybody.
There is only one law for everybody, which is a civil legal system. But when we're talking about religion, praying, fasting, the way we conduct our personal lives in our homes, that is perfectly allowed under English law. We are a mediation body that is offering mediation and a religious divorce. We are not contradicting the English legal system in any way.
But you are parallel to it?
We are not parallel to it. We are offering a mediation service. The English legal system wants people to have mediation when the marriage is breaking down. It's actually part of the English legal system now. Courts will insist, judges will insist that a couple whose marriage is breaking up and have come for a civil divorce get mediation. We offer mediation in a culturally sensitive environment where people understand the language of the people, the culture, the religion, etc.
And if you don't want mediation, you just want the divorce?
Well, we'll give that. Obviously, there are questions that are going to be asked.
What about the case which we featured in our film earlier, where a woman was asked to come to mediation with her violently abusive husband?
If a husband is violently abusive, there will generally be some sort of non-molestation order, some sort of legal order, and there is no way we can have the two together in the same room.
OK. Oluyomi asks, what are the rights of women under Sharia law?
Immense. It depends what you're talking about. But a woman has a right to get married, to get divorced, to have children, to work, to own her money, to own her property, to inherit. What are you asking?
Rani Bilkhu, let me bring you in. Baroness Cox says this is a parallel legal system. To some of the comments I've seen on Twitter and on email and so on, it feels like a parallel universe to some people. How would you describe it?
I think I agree with Baroness Cox to a certain degree, and also to Cole's. One of the issues that we're looking at, where women are coming to us and saying, in terms of mediation, the mediation within the courts in this country is very different to what the mediation within the Sharia councils are. Their form of mediation is to go back home together and try to work it out for the sake of the children. There's complexities in any marriage when they're breaking down. When there's complexities of cousin marriages and marriages within the brotherhood or of a community, it is far more complex. And I think whilst I agree to a certain degree Sharia councils do have a role, however, when you're putting women significantly at harm, then I have a problem.
Okay.
And the issue of sexual violence, rape within marriage, is not recognised by many within the community. But aligned to that, we have Sikhs, Hindus and people with other faiths here. We don't have actually any parallel systems there. We work quite well.
OK. If Sharia councils did not exist, if they were banned, which is what you would like, Baroness Cox, no?
No, not exactly.
OK, go on.
But what I would like, I believe in religious freedom.
Right.
You said, of course, whether you pray or fast, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
What I am concerned about is any kind of body which gives rulings which are directly incompatible with the fundamental laws, values, principles, policies of our country.
All right. What about those Muslim women who want a divorce from their husband and they feel that they need to get the divorce through a Sharia council or else they can't move on with their life? What would they do if they couldn't do that at a Sharia council?
Well, you have to go back one step. The fundamental asymmetry. One lady came to me in floods of tears. Her husband had sent her divorce through the post. And she said, I read my divorce. My mum says it's genuine. I am divorced. I'm betrayed by democracy. How can this happen in Britain? I get my divorce through the post. Now, if she wants to get a divorce, she has to go through the kind of procedures which we've seen. There's a fundamental asymmetry there, which is unjust and should not be allowed in Britain today.
OK, so what are you suggesting then?
Well, we're suggesting that there needs to be a serious investigation into what happens, and that those policies of Sharia courts or councils which contravene our British fundamental values of gender equality and one law for all should not be permitted.
Okay.
Other matters, such as fasting, prayer, no problem. These are matters. Women are really suffering in ways our suffragettes would turn in their graves in Britain today.
Thank you all very much for coming on the programme. Some comments from you watching around the country. This from Anu on Facebook. Thank you very much for your report this morning on Sharia councils. I never knew that there were any in the UK. This completely has opened my eyes and changed so much inside me. All the people who are criticising you for reporting this would rather put their head in the sand and pretend that everything is OK. This email from Shamim. Most of the people complaining about Sharia courts are Islamophobic. And one more, people choose to use Sharia courts just like any couple chooses to settle out of court. Thank you for those. Do keep them coming in. We're going to talk a little later, just before the end of the programme, about the